I had a great phone call last week with Shane Atchie. Now, Shane, I might have murdered your last name, so I apologize for that in advance. But Shane reached out and wanted to talk about how you figure out maybe something similar to this, or figuring out maybe where your message, your story, your words could take you. He runs a blog over at oneblessedlife.com. That's the number oneblessedlife.com. Some great stories over there, some great content. And he's just getting started on his journey. And he's trying to figure out where's that next step. And as a man who's been figuring this thing out for a long time, I know and I can empathize with the pain that Shane was having and not being able to see where he could go, like not having a vision for it, not even understanding like what's the purpose of it, being called to do something that you don't yet understand why. These are real questions that go through your mind when you're trying to deviate from the path that you're currently on. Because the path that you're currently on, man, our brain is wired to keep us there. And we don't often realize how much effort and how much it can throw at us to keep us where we are. And we often don't even realize how massive that game can be. And part of the problem when we're into these worlds of trying to figure out the next step or figuring out some other path to where we could go is we try to have all the answers first. We try to have the entire path illuminated. I can tell you that a lot of the reasons why it took me so long to wake up and figure out all these things that I've now been able to do with my life is I kept waiting for a clear path, and everything had to be perfect. If I couldn't see how the path was playing out over like a year, I wouldn't run. I would walk, I would kind of just take slow steps, and I would kind of go into this world where, yeah, I'm just going to go on the safe side and go a little bit slower. I'll figure it out. But what that does is almost kind of gets you more depressed, because then you're like, well, this isn't really working. You tell yourself that you're doing all this work, it's not showing up. But really the reality is it's because you're going slow. And it's that slowness that also exacerbates how long change can really take place and to something magical to happen. If I could go back and tell myself something in 2017 that I didn't know then, but I do know now, it's that once you realize the direction you need to go, a few episodes back, we did an episode on fear and curiosity. And once you realize how those two needles on the compass play together, what I was missing was a massive bet on that version of myself. I was missing this big bet financially, putting money on my name, putting money on a place where I wanted to go. Maybe not even understanding where that place was, but understanding until I put my money on the line, until I find someone ahead of me that can help me go to where I want to go, that bet is almost what's missing. And what I didn't do fast enough was take action. But man, when you put money on your name, when you go to Vegas and you put a large amount of money on your name, you try to rig that bet as much as possible because you can control the entire bet. You can control whether you win that bet. And once you realize that it's that bet and the proportional amount of bet that you put in Vegas on your name, the more growth that's going to happen. And that was something that I was really missing. And it's something I apply all the time. Many of the things that I've had in 2021 came because I put massive amounts of money on my name, and then I did the work to make things happen. And if I didn't do that, things wouldn't have changed in my life, because until you put money on the line, it doesn't feel real. The change can kind of be like, yeah, I can pull out anytime I want. But when you put money on your line, you've got to figure it out. You've got to go the extra mile. So what I'm saying here is that you don't have to have all the answers, but sometimes you need to go all in. And sometimes the proportion amount of growth that you're trying to experience is really proportional to the amount that's at stake. How much have you put at stake on winning this bet and figuring this out? Now, this advice applies to what season of life you're in. Sometimes, like in Shane's case, he's got 3 kids now, he's got another one on the way. Life's pretty chaotic. So maybe a bet isn't the right advice for Shane, but maybe if we're out there, someone that's kind of trying to do something but hasn't really gone all in, that bet was the one thing that I was missing. And so remember, you do not have to have all the answers, but you do have to have belief, you have to have faith, and you have to have the stakes being high enough that you'll do the work to win. Because that's not what I did. And it ended up having to be pushed into entrepreneurship by losing my job. And had I gone all in a lot earlier, had I put a bet on my name and tried to win that bet, things would have happened that were not happening before that I've now experienced in 2021, but I had to do a lot of growth to get there. But that is the one thing that I wish I would have known in 2017. And I did not have to all of the answers figured out, but I did need to have the stakes high enough to create the change that I was looking for. And I'll be back again with you guys tomorrow.